Smart 24, driving business.
Welcome yet again. This is the point. We are talking about the strategies for success in starting and growing a business. And with me, delightful guests, I have Miss Olga Nichols and Miss Mariam Akron. This conversation is not ending. It actually keeps widening. And this is the beautiful thing about getting women together, whatever platform, whether it's savings, whether it is educational, whether it is such as this brainstorming, we still get to understand and give insight on some of the challenges that actually affect women, right? Mm-hmm. Olga, we talked about open. You actually emphasized it and said we should have an open mind as women entrepreneurs, yes, and seize partnerships for growth. Ensure that we. But how do you know who to trust? Because this is an issue. Yes. I have seen so many women, right, that were powerful in Uganda, in the business community. Yes. Whether it is in the seed industry, whether it is this, they were very powerful. Yes. But because they trusted the wrong investor, the wrong partner. Yes. It is so painful to see someone come from down and grow up, and then within the next 6 years they are struggling and down. So how do you get to that point where you know who to trust, who to partner with to take you to the next level of growth in business?
Oh, great point. Oh yeah, unfortunately we're living in, culture and society where it's so hard to trust people, especially post-pandemic, but one of the things that I do is do your due diligence. Yes. You have to do your research, you have to do your homework. So a lot of times people show up, or you get introduced to people that, hey, this person is an expert in this area. Well, you do your own homework as well. Do not just take people at face value. Find out what have they done, what did they accomplish, what is their history. Kind of like, when you're hiring somebody for a job, you have those references. Well, do the same thing with when you're going to invest, or when you need to make a business decision. You have to do your research, you have to do your homework.
And this is very important, by the way, because the perception sometimes among Ugandan women entrepreneurs, not all, is that when someone comes in, whether it's from a different country or a foreign country, this and that, then they're going to open excitement. Yes. They're going to open doors, but in reality, like Olga says, we must be able to do research on this and really task them. Because there is that feeling that, this person is going to help me. But it's always a 50-50. Yes, this person also is going to benefit from you. So don't be so quick to give out,
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's very...
Is that
sometimes
true?
we make assumptions, we make assumptions. So, yes, that person's going to help you. What are they going to help you in? A, B, C, D. You might think, well, this is the person who's going to help me. I'll give a small example. Oh, well, this person's going to help me set up my business account. Yeah. Okay, what else are they going to help you? Don't make assumptions. We have to be clear. We have to be communicative. We have to be intentional with these people. A, B, C, D, what does this help look like?
Yes.
That way we know what we need to do, what we're expecting from them. But a lot of times we think, well, because they accomplished this, or because this is what they did for their business, this is what they're going to do for me. But we have to, we have to ask, we have to know.
I think it's very important to be very clear.
Yes.
Very clear and have all this clarity documented.
Yes.
Have this clarity documented. We had a conversation recently, and we're talking about the legalities that every businesswoman should be keen on. And I remember that the good counsel said, you know what, it doesn't matter the origin of your capital.
Yes.
It does not matter the origin of your capital. Sit down, draw up something documented.
Yes.
There has to be a document there. And this will guide you, because the moment you start up with that document from the very beginning, then it guides on the relationships that follow. But also you're also able to tap into the credit facilities that are much needed for growth.
I think women need to do sufficient background checks.
Yes.
We need to stop being, people today are so much event driven.
Yes.
Everything that they see in social media, they want to try it.
Yes.
So you also need to assess the environment that you are introducing this business in. Do some bit of consultation with the people who have been in it.
Yes.
And also ensure that you start small, but also leverage the successful entrepreneurs' guidance. I like listening to Mr. Bitatire and the different people's discussions on how to, people who have celebrated this success, people who have been in it for longer, they have the dark and the good side of it. So being into, and also interesting yourself in learning.
Yes.
Reading and learning is endless.
It never ends.
Yes, and then also ensuring that you go for loans that you can afford. And then also being careful. These days we are so afraid even of our own shadows. That intuition, that emotional being that we came with from our wombs in our creation has to be separated from the business. And also the women need to, if you are blessed with our siblings, our immediate, there are people we need to bring to be part of these businesses. I know one of the ladies, cousin to my sister's first cousin to my stepsister, she was a very powerful woman. She passed on, nobody knew her account details, so that money just
went like that.
All those things went. I've had friends who are bankers who will say, this person has passed on, no detail, no this, no that. So there has to be, somebody from that closed family, to trust, to be able to, to guide. We've seen women fall off and die.
Right.
So these realities, we women have to face them on. Yes.
Absolutely.
Now we are so when we again talk about us women in different categories, we have the single women, we have the women in relationships and everything. There are those relationships, the legal ones, those other ones. How do you manage assets in your own name?
Right.
So that is also a discussion that we need to face on.
And Olga, this is real for you.
Yes.
This is real in this space, yes? And when you get to talk to other businesswomen out there, I'm very sure all of them have some issues, yes, with ownership, especially and we talked about it during the break, especially sometimes with the sources, yes, and sometimes maybe it's a family business, but they also want to start something on the side as well, and they're going to keep it a little bit private because they have their own partners. So is it as important, or it is something that is manageable within your space?
Oh, I think it's very important,
Transparency.
Yes, it's very important to, as you mentioned, with transparency and, to document, but also to know what, the ownership, what is this ownership look like? In Uganda, we have, a process where if you're registering for a business, you have to appoint directors, and certain kind of shares, so who's going to be the director of your business? What happens in the future with that directorship? Is this person a shareholder? So what percentage of ownership do these people have? So we get excited here in the beginning with setting up the business, or like in my case, coming into a business where yes, I'm a shareholder, but I'm also an employee of this company. What does ownership look like for me in that company and in my position? So those are things that we have to be cognizant of, and to check, where our boundaries are in these spaces, and what our powers are in these spaces, and what we can do in order to influence and affect change, in these businesses.
Talking about the future, yes, because that eventually impacts upon your, the growth of your business as well. And these are passionate issues. Talking about livelihood, livelihood programming, and this is where you're going to give us some insight, Mariam, because I know for sure I have heard just a little bit of of sentiments, right, about these livelihoods being enabled at grassroots levels, but all of them sit within the confines of the funders' abilities. Okay, so when you talked about the fact that there is quite a lot of stakeholder engagement, the local councillors are really on board, that enables sustainability.
Absolutely.
But we do have instances whereby there's quite a lot of funding for these, you know, for these grassroots women to really come up, and then after 3 years, it just, the money runs out. The money runs out. They are left, quote unquote, orphans, economic orphans, because they were not taught sustainably to stand on their own. How is it working?
I think one of the things that I like with the latest narrative in humanitarian and development response is the message of resilience and self-reliance.
Yes.
And I know as WFP and UNHCR shift from direct food aid
Yes.
to livelihoods. Of course, in the initial stages, transition will always affect some other people.
Yeah.
But the people who have been in it longer will appreciate. We also what happened when Russia and Ukraine went to war, how the food prices
Yes.
just went up.
Up the
Yeah.
roof.
So it is important that we promote the livelihoods in a manner that is sustainable, that involves the local and the political leadership. Projects are time bound. So even civil society needs to begin to shift their beneficiaries to self-reliance, to sustainability beyond the project. You have these very powerful projects, and the question that you ask, this project is coming to an end. Are these beneficiaries, have they been prepared for the transition? Are they ready? As opposed to people panicking of how the livelihoods that were set can be sustained. We've seen those discussions, they're happening. And for action against hunger, you know, the sustainability roadmap, we have constructed the post-harvest facilities. We've given them access to market for some, created, you know, like now there are people facilitating the exportation of some of the, you know, the things. So market access should be the next discussion, and infrastructure. I know that Action Against Hunger has been able to give them the motorbikes with the trails to be able to take their food to the center and everything. So those feeder roads also are part, you know, that's where local government comes into play, because we've seen food rot in the gardens. So you know that there is a discussion that 30% of our harvest is wasted in post-harvest.
Yes.
So we need to ensure the post-harvest handling is well taken care of, so that the livelihoods of the farmers is not. We've also seen, like in Chikube, where now this sugar factory is trying to motivate them to grow sugarcane. And what does that mean for a food basket?
Exactly.
Those are discussions that government
Should
and
really
all
be involved
the
in.
actors have to be deliberate on. Yes, let's promote the cash crops, but let's ensure that every household has food and nutrition security. We no longer can talk about just food and nutrition security, because a well-nourished society is a productive society.
And I think this is where advocacy really comes in.
Absolutely.
Yes, to really heighten the voice of some of these pertinent issues that continue to emerge. Because the reality about it, I have witnessed some and listened to some government officials, you know, saying it's clear. You have no excuse to be poor, yes?
Right.
We have brought the investors, they are here to partner with you.
Absolutely.
So why can't you do something and become empowered and have this? And even when they are talking about it, they are saying you are lazy, get out of your comfort zone and have this. But you are bringing in place now other different issues.
Social responsibility of the
Right.
investors that we are bringing. If we are in this place for sugarcane growing, how does local government enact ordinances that protect and limit the number of acres of household land that they will use for sugarcane growing.
Right.
Because sugarcane growing,
Yes.
while good, can cause food insecurity.
And this also comes down,
Yes.
because you have an influx right now. Let's not even beat about the bush. You have an influx of
refugees.
not even refugees. Don't get annoyed.
I cannot get annoyed. It's our day. We have to be happy.
But Olga, you've got an influx of the Chinese, Chinese products.
Yes.
You've got an influx of all sorts of products coming in, and even when you talk about such pertinent issues down to the grassroots, we're also talking about the car business right now, feeling the pinch of all these different substandard goods coming in.
Oh,
yes.
yes.
Well, are you advocating? Are you raising your voice towards that?
Oh, absolutely, yes. We just recently celebrated 50 years of Wallace Simbi's Garage, and one of the things that I, was pertinent in communicating is that we have to support local. Yeah. We have to support, the indigenous people who have chosen to do something with their land, who have chosen to start a business, who have chosen to use their skills, their gifts. That's how we're going to grow our society, our community, our country, is by supporting the indigenous people. When you go out to different countries, if you go to the US, who is getting, who's being put at the top of the chain of receiving, of the food chain, for example? It's the people who were born, the citizens of that country. So the same thing has to happen for us in Africa, especially in Uganda. We have to support local. A lot of times you'll start a business. For example, my degree is in architecture. I remember when I started practicing architecture, I couldn't get any relatives or friends to hire me. So because we tend to look down on, the person that we know, and we tend to think that they're not that skilled. So when we think about local business or local product, we tend to think, well, it's not as good as the Chinese product. It's not as good as the American or the UK, whatever it is, because we have, been told this lie for so long, that what is local, what is of us,
is poor quality.
Is poor quality. Yeah. But that's not the case. We have to change the narrative in our minds, change our mindsets, that make us think. That's colonialization. That's colonial way of thinking, that everything that's out of us is better.
But Bubu is working. Bubu is working. Maybe not at the pace we want, but it's working. Buy Uganda, build Uganda. Yes?
Right.
Is it at the pace? Yes, it's not the pace that
I don't know.
I think that the challenge that I have with it is that I think it's not been popularized enough.
Right.
For me to believe that something is working, I want to hear it from the community. I think it's still centralized. I'm a hands-on person. I go to the field a lot. Yes. I hold community dialogues. So if the community doesn't know that there is this initiative and everything, they need to popularize. We have very good initiatives and interventions, but the challenge, they are not popularized. And through the mindset change, that government has to deliberately popularize some of these initiatives so that they get down to the people. And then also the Uganda National Standards Bureau needs to be deliberately checking the quality of the things that we produce, because there are some of these things that you buy and they are counterfeit, and then you look at this expensive but high quality. What will the corporate woman go for? So that close monitoring and supervision by the National Bureau of Standards on issues of standards and safety is very important. And it creates the confidence of the local people
absolutely
to the products.
But I think, to me, whether it is in respect to women empowerment, whether it's down to the policies and whatever, whose role is it and who should be doing what, I think, to me, the COVID period should have been a learning moment for us, right?
Yes.
Because everyone was affected.
Yes.
And sometimes I feel we forget very quickly. I feel we forget very, very quickly.
Very true.
Talking about technology innovation, which is really the theme, 2023, okay? I know you get out into the field so often. I know there's quite a lot of engagement on your side and continuous improvement. What do you think the COVID, the pandemic, actually, that period of harshness
Yes.
has taught you that you are putting there right now as a woman entrepreneur to ensure that those setbacks don't happen again?
So I think what the pandemic, taught all of us, I would say, is that anything can happen at any time.
Yeah.
We have no control, really, but we can plan. So, also the pandemic taught us to be creative, to be resourceful, to be able to keep changing, to be more flexible. Because if you stayed where you were before the pandemic, well, we've left you behind.
Yes.
So what it taught us is to be more flexible, to be adaptable, to be able to change, to be able to learn, that growth is only going to happen if we are, more prepared. If we're prepared, we can plan, but also understand that, things are going to happen that we may have to adjust to.
And very quick, just
I think for me on a personal note, first of all, the COVID situation, I think bonded me and my children. You're everywhere.
Yes.
I got to know and understand my children better during the COVID time.
Yes.
It also saved friends for me, I think. And the way I used to be before COVID is not, I think everything about me has completely changed.
Yes.
I'm very cautious now. And also in terms of being strict with my finances, and like I feel like I'm running a marathon. So coming into, as we wind up, what does it take to empower the women entrepreneurs?
Yes, recapping.
Skilling the women, male involvement. We need to have both women and men in a round table discussing issues of women and issues of men together.
Yes.
That is very important. And for the smallholder farmers, financial skilling is critical.
Yes.
And then access to affordable credit facilities.
True.
And then, skilling up these saving schemes where the typical grassroots women is more comfortable in is very important.
Yes.
And also helping women to build up on their self-esteem, integrity, intelligence, and get off the mindset of vulnerability.
More or less a holistic towards women's empowerment.
Deliberate.
Very deliberate.
Yes, very
Still going
deliberate.
on?
Oh yes, absolutely. A quick one, we like to talk about, equality, and we like to talk about, women and empowering women. Let's not, forget that, yes, they're different gender roles. We're created and wired differently, men and women.
Yes.
So when we talk about empowerment, we're not dismissing the gender roles.
Yes.
But we're, showing that, there are things that women can do because we're resilient human beings. When we talk about resilience, there's nothing more resilient than a black woman, the African woman.
Yes.
So we have to know that. But also, one last thing, in empowering women that I should point out is that while we're strong and resilient as women, especially after the African woman, we need to learn to take care of ourselves, our mental health. We need to put our self-care and mental health at the forefront because you cannot take care of other people if you don't take care of yourself.
Absolutely.
And it has all been said and done perfectly. We continue to grow, we continue to celebrate all the women out there that keep trying, that are resilient and creative in everything that they do. I've been Ken Shadoring, this is The Point, and with this, we've had Mariam, we've had Olga. Please, let's join hands and celebrate and say Happy Women's Day.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you. It was sweet.